Today we're going through the full review of the InBody 570. We're going to talk about what the InBody 570 does. I'm going to give you the pros, the cons. We're going to talk about the price. And at the end of the video, I'm going to let you know whether I'd recommend buying the InBody 570 or not. Now, before we hop into the review, if you're watching this video, more than likely fitness is a big part of your life. And with our fitness, our nutrition is a huge part of the results and the success that we see in the gym. And a lot of times people train really hard in the gym, but they leave and they shoot themselves in the foot with their nutrition. So I'm gonna give you a special offer today. I will literally calculate your macros for free. I'll tell you how many carbs, proteins, fat, calories that you should be eating to reach your fitness goal. I left a link down in the comment section below where you can fill out a form, and then from there I'll do the rest of the work. So after you're done watching this video, make sure that you go down in the comment section, click on that link. You can fill out a simple form real quick, and I'll do the rest where I'll calculate your macros for free. So the InBody 570 is a BIA device. It is a body composition analyzer, and this scale is able to track your weight, your muscle mass, your body fat, and your water. This is a really good tool that you can use that is going to give you the full picture of the weight that you're losing and you're gaining. A lot of times when people hop on a scale, they either are trying to lose weight or they're trying to gain weight, but they don't know what type of weight that they're gaining, whether that's body fat, whether that's water, or whether that's skeletal muscle mass. So this is a really cool tool that you can use to really track your body composition and see if you're gaining fats, if you're gaining muscle, if you're gaining water, or if you're losing fat, losing muscle, or gaining water. We're going to start off with the pros first of the InBody 570. So I think the biggest pro with a scale like this is just to have concrete numbers and concrete feedback on the progress that you're making in the gym. If your goal is to lose weight, we want to make sure that we're losing the right type of weight. We want to make sure that we're maintaining our skeletal muscle mass and that we're losing either body fat or water. Or if your goal is to gain weight, we want to make sure that we're gaining lean tissue. We want to make sure that we're gaining muscle mass and we're not putting on excess fat and excess water. So that to me is the biggest pro. Is I'm a really big numbers guy, and being able to see exactly what type of weight you're gaining and losing is a really good tool that you can use to track your progress. That is going to give you direct feedback to show your progress, track it over time, and really solidify your results. Now, another pro of this device is on the screen, it calculates your weight, your muscle mass, your body fat, and your water. But within the app that you can download for free from the App Store, it calculates a lot of other metrics that are really useful. The app will show you things like your basal metabolic rate that is specific to you. It's going to show you your displacement of fat, so how much fat you have and where you store it. So say that you store more fat in your legs or your stomach, it's going to literally show you where you're storing your fat. It will also show you the displacement of your muscle mass. It'll show you right versus left. If one arm has more muscle mass than the other, one leg has more muscle mass than the other. So it's a really good tool to see the displacement of your body fat and your muscle mass. And overall just gives you a ton of good metrics that you could use other than just the metrics on the screen. Another good pro of this device is that it's very consistent and it's very accurate. Now, the most accurate ways to track your body fat are going to be either DEXA scans or hydrostatic weighing tests. Now, those are not always super accessible for a lot of people, not easy to use. This is something that takes a couple minutes once you hop on, and it's going to be able to give you your body composition analysis within a couple minutes. So to me, another big pro of this device is just the accessibility and the quickness of the result. Like I said, it's going to take you like 2 or 3 minutes from when you hop on. It's going to give you your body composition analysis, and that's a really quick way that you can get that, and it's a really easy tool to use and incorporate into your program. Another good pro of this device is the accuracy and the reliability of this. What I would say is when you weigh in on this scale, you want to have the conditions be the same every time. So if you weigh in one time and it's 5 a.m. in the morning and you're fasted and you haven't had any water, versus if you're weighing it at 8 o'clock at night, you've had a whole day of food, you've had water, it's after your workouts, those are going to be very different weigh-ins. So this device will be very accurate and consistent as long as the conditions for when you weigh in are consistent. So make sure that if you're weighing in at 5 p.m., you weigh in at 5 p.m. every time to track your results consistently. Or if you're weighing in at 5 a.m., make sure that you weigh in at 5 a.m. every time to track your results consistently, because things like change in body temperature, change in time, change in food that you've eaten throughout the day, change of water consumption, those are all going to affect the numbers, and it's going to affect the scale in general. And it's just going to give you different numbers and different metrics, and you could have some variable results. So as long as you are consistent with your weigh-ins on the time and the conditions, this scale will be very accurate and very consistent each time. So now that we're done talking about the pros, let's talk about the cons next. And I think the biggest con about this scale is definitely the price. So this scale for the InBody 570 now, remember there are different models. So they have like 4 or 5 different models that you can use. This is about their mid-level one. This scale retails at $11,700. So this is a very expensive scale. This is not something that you're just gonna throw in your house on a whim. This is something where this is an investment. And I think that is really the biggest downfall of this scale, is that it is a huge upfront investment and most people aren't gonna shell out 12 grand in order to buy the scale. Another con of this scale is, like I talked about on the Pro, where if your conditions are different every time, you're gonna have variable weigh-ins. So say that you weigh in at 5 a.m. and then 5 p.m., you're gonna have a different weight, your body water is gonna be different, it's gonna say some different metrics. So that's one thing where it's not gonna be consistent across the board as far as every time you hop on it, it's gonna be consistent and accurate. You really do have to keep your conditions the same, otherwise it will throw off the test. It's gonna skew your results. Another con of the scale is if you have a pacemaker or you have someone that has a pacemaker that maybe you train or that is gonna hop on the scale, they're not gonna be able to use this because of the electrical current that it sends through your body. It can throw your pacemaker out of whack. So that's something to be aware of, that if you have people that you're working with or if you personally have a pacemaker, you are not gonna be able to use the scale. Now let's talk about exactly what these numbers mean, about the metrics that the InBody 570 tracks. So we're gonna track your weights, it's gonna track your skeletal muscle mass, your body fat percentage, and your extracellular water in relation to your total body water. So skeletal muscle mass, this is the amount of lean tissue that we have. And this number also is going to be dependent on a glycogen. So I've even seen where the skeletal muscle mass will fluctuate, and I've seen it, drop a little bit, gain a little bit, or it'll go up a lot of bit in a short amount of time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you gain 2 pounds of new tissue in a week. What that means is that the muscle is storing more glycogen. So for every gram of carbohydrates that the muscle stores, there's gonna be 3 grams of water. So the skeletal muscle mass, yes, it's gonna tell us our lean body tissue, but really we're tracking that over time. So from week to week, if there's small dips or small variations in it, don't think that you lost muscle mass or that I put on 2 pounds of muscle in a week. Really, those small term changes are the fluctuation in glycogen for muscle mass. Now, over time, if there's large changes either by gaining muscle mass or losing muscle mass, that will allow us to track the new lean tissue that we're adding through our strength training. So that's a huge thing to really track the progress. Now, I always tell people, if you're gaining 1 to 2 pounds of skeletal muscle mass over the course of, say, like 6 months to a year, that's still an awesome change. I mean, 1 to 2 pounds of skeletal muscle mass is a significant amount of muscle mass. So it's nothing to really scuff at, but it's a really good tool to track the amount of lean tissue that you have. One, to make sure that we're building muscle, if that's a goal of yours. The more muscle that we have, the higher our basal metabolic rate is, and the more metabolic flexibility we have. Also, just from the standpoint of making sure that we're bare minimum maintaining our muscle mass and that we're not losing muscle mass. The last thing that we want to do is have a client lose 20 pounds and 10 of that is body fat and 10 of that is muscle mass. That's going to be a negative body composition change, and this is a really good tool to allow you to track what type of weight people are losing. Body fat percentage is pretty straightforward there. You can do a simple calculation quick to take the percentage of body fat by the person's total weight, and you're going to get the total amount of pounds that someone has of body fat. So really good tool to track body fat, where most of the times when you're working with clients in small group or personal training settings, their goal is typically to get stronger, build lean muscle mass, and lose body fat. So a really good tool to use where you don't have to use skin fold calipers to test your body fat, which is going to be variable and accurate at times. Just a really good, easy way that you could track your client's body fat change. And the last metric that it tracks on the screen is your extracellular water in relation to your total body water. So what this metric is looking at is the amount of water that sits outside the cell. So like I said, every gram of carbohydrate that the muscle stores is going to be 3 grams of water. So we want water within our cells. We want water in our tissues. The water that we don't want is the water that sits outside the cell. So that is your extracellular water in relation to that total body water. And this gives you a really good indication on the food choices that your clients are making, the lifestyle factors such as sleep, stress, alcohol consumption, sugar consumption. The higher your ECW, TBW number is typically means that there's a lot of things that we can do outside of the gym whether that is through our nutrition, whether that is through our stress management and sleep management, through sugar and alcohol consumption, it's really going to show up on this number. I've even had it where I've consumed some alcohol or had some sugar. I come in, I weigh the next day, and I've literally had changes in my ECW, TBW by over 2 pounds. That just shows you that consuming sugar, alcohol, lack of sleep, all those things, eating out, those affect your water retention outside of the cell. And that's a really good number to track because typically we don't want to have a lot of inflammation and water retention in the body. So those are the 4 main metrics that the InBody is going to track. There's a lot more things that it tracks on the app, and you can even connect it to a printer where you can get a print off of really in-depth metrics so you can really track a lot of different things. So my final verdict on the InBody 570. I think that this is a great tool to track body composition. It's very easy, it's very quick. If you have it in your space, it's accessible to people. There's no limit on the amount of people that can do it. The only thing is if you have a pacemaker, you cannot use this machine, so something to be aware of. And I think that it's just a really reliable, consistent way to track body composition where if you're using just a regular scale, you are looking at just weight and you don't know what weight you're gaining or losing. You don't know what tissues you're gaining or losing. Looking at this really looks at the full picture where a lot of times I've worked with people and they get frustrated when they start strength training because say that internally they lose a couple pounds of body fat, but they build a couple pounds of muscle and their weight doesn't change. And this makes them very frustrated, but actually there's awesome body composition changes happening. So this is a great way that you can show people that it's not necessarily always about weight, that we really want to focus on the composition of our body, what is our skeletal muscle mass, our body fat, and our water, and what are we losing and gaining, and that's really more important than a weight on a scale. So obviously the main drawback on the scale is the price, $11,700. This is not just something that someone's going to put in their house that you're just going to buy on a whim. The setting that I see this most in is in a gym, either a commercial facility, or if you own a gym, or if you own a personal training or small group training business to really show your clients the progress that they're making. I think that's really where it makes most sense. And for me, I think that we've wanted one for a really long time and we went ahead and pulled the trigger on it because I think it's a very valuable tool to track progress for clients, to show a lot of different metrics and really just take care of your clients. We are trying to provide the best training for our clients here at FitGrind. And in order to do that, we have to know what changes we're making and make subtle tweaks to their program and their nutrition based on the feedback that we're getting from the InBody. So for me, that's why we went ahead and pulled the trigger, but that's up to you. I think that I would highly recommend it, that I would rate this thing. It's a solid 10 out of 10 as far as the product. I think this is awesome. I think it's a great tool, but that's something you need to ask yourself. Is the price tag worth what you're paying? Are you going to be using it? Does it justify paying that amount of money in order to use this service and use this type of scale in your gym? And that's something that you really have to ask yourself. It's going to be dependent on each person. For us, we finally went to pull the trigger where we waited a while. We wanted this thing for a while and we just kept hesitating and we're like, should we do it? We finally went ahead and pulled the trigger, and that's something you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it to you? So that's my full review of the InBody 570. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I'm currently doing a series right now where I'm training to get in the best shape of my life for my wedding this year. So I'm documenting that whole process. I'm showing you all the workouts, everything that I'm doing currently to get in the best shape of my life for my wedding. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on the content that I'm posting weekly. Also, I have my full 8-week shred program. So that's the program that I'm doing right now to get in the best shape of my life for my wedding, available to you. I'll leave the link down in the description and the comments below. Make sure to go check out my 8-week shred program. So with all that said, I'm going to leave a workout video for you to watch your next. Make sure you go check that one out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.